Welcome back, League mates and listeners.
We're your hosts, Dayne and AJ.
And we're back with another Pigskin Pals podcast.
Today, we're going to be doing our first episode of the new series called Critique Corner,
where we're going to be going over every single team in our Dynasty League, and we're going to be going over all the values and players that they should be trading away or trading for, just what we think would benefit their team.
Today, we're starting with the man himself, Austin Ulicki, and his major rebuild. Give him maybe some tips and tricks, some trade ideas of how he should move his team forward.
Let's get stuck right into it. All right, so this is Austin's team, the Arch Manning waiting room. And as we get down to his picks, you'll kind of see why his team name is that. He's got a boatload of 2026 picks. He's been waiting to draft Arch Manning for 2-3 years now, but his starting roster is looking like this. He's got Justin Herbert, Josh Jacobs, but this is a starting roster. Looks like this. He's got Justin Herbert, Josh Jacobs, Rachaad White, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Ben Sinnott, Zamir White, Romeo Doubs, and in his super flex, he's got Sam Darnold.
Bang.
Some things just to know about Austin, too, is he's a big Chargers fan, and so he's probably not going to be trading away any Chargers players like Justin Herbert. And he also just made a move to get Rachaad White by trading away Deebo Samuel, so I'm probably not going to be looking at him as that much of like a movable piece since he just acquired him, but we can always think about that. And then in the rookie draft, he got Marvin Harrison and Ben Sinnott.
I don't know if he grabbed any. Oh, I think he grabbed.
And then he got
possibly
like
Jordan Travis. Yeah.
And Sam Hartman as
waiver wire.
Waiver wire additions. Well, he actually drafted Jordan Travis, but
yeah.
So let's hop in. We're going to be looking at this in keep trade cut, so we can go over some hypothetical trades. First, we're just going to be going over players that we think should just kind of be untouchable for him, that he should hold on to and be kind of just pillars in his team that should be staples and stay there. And then we'll be looking at some players that he should probably be trading away, maybe some picks too, where he can make some improvements. But overall, this team, I don't know, AJ, in my idea, I think this is kind of a rebuild. What do you think?
It's definitely a rebuild. But I think if you look at his starting lineup, it's not the worst thing you've ever seen. It gets bad towards the bottom a little bit. Rachaad White, Josh Jacobs, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch at running back. Marvin Harrison, Drake London, on paper, should be pretty good at wide receiver. And Justin Herbert. I'd look at that start and be like, hey, that's pretty good.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, but then it goes into like Zamir White, who will be dead in the year. Romeo Doubs. Do we even know who he is? Not really.
I do.
He has no second quarterback. Well, he has Sam Darnold, but in reality, he has no second quarterback. And then Ben Sinnott, who I think could be good, but like, who knows? And then literally no backups. So he has like not a single bench player that's like worth anything, minus maybe Elijah Mitchell and Tyler Edgill. I think he's okay too. Other than that, he's got no one.
Overall, I think he's went in. We kind of talked about it earlier that he went to rebuild earlier for Arch Manning.
Yep.
And that was kind of like his downfall of his team of just trading away players. Like I think he had maybe like Derrick Henry or something. I don't fully remember all the players that he had.
I believe he had Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon at one point.
Trading away a lot of not young players, but some vets, and he got first round picks from him, but not like immediate first round picks. Where I definitely think he could have gotten some earlier picks for them if he wasn't so set on that 2026 draft. And then some picks that kind of flopped, like Sky Moore really flopped for him.
Flop. That was the biggest one, I'd say, that ended up flopping. And I'm sure there were other ones, considering he has like no other younger guys on his team. I'm assuming he ended up dropping them. And I also think, if you look, he's got 4 2026 first round picks as of right now. Once 2026 rolls around, I'm sure there's going to be some heat going on. But I'm just going to give a general overview quick. I don't know if he ends up getting to 2026 with those picks. If I'm him, I think next year I probably start moving some of those 26ers for some heat, for some players. But
like
we'll see.
This year or in the 2026 season?
Sorry, in the season, so like next year I would sell.
So the start of that
year, the following year. Yeah. I would start trading more.
I would agree. And I kind of talked to him because I did made a trade with him in the last draft, and he was talking. I was like, because I gave him one of my 2026 first round picks, and I was talking to him. I was like, yeah, it's kind of hilarious that you're gonna like be drafting every single player in that first round. And he's like, well, yeah, maybe. And so he is well aware that he can make some moves for players with those picks instead of drafting everyone, which I would personally highly recommend just getting some known commodities over unknown players too, because even if you draft everyone in the first round, you're probably going to get like 4 players that are going to be pretty good. Yeah. So
for his really true untouchable, I think at this point he has been for a while, but Justin Herbert is probably an untouchable. He has no other quarterback and needs to be his staple. He's not going to get enough back from him at this point where he can split it well enough. So I think he's an untouchable, and I think Marvin Harrison Jr. should be an untouchable. And then in this specific circumstance for his team, I almost think Drake London should be untouchable as well. But I could be swayed on that.
Yeah, and we'll look into what kind of compensation we can get for players. Like off the air, we kind of looked at Josh Jacobs and we're like, man, he's not really going to get that much value for him. So in that kind of circumstance, maybe you keep those players. But I would agree, Marvin Harrison, untouchable. I would maybe disagree with Justin Herbert. Even it is going to be an untouchable for him just because he is such a stan of the Chargers, but I personally what if he traded Tua in a player to get...
I don't know if the Tua player does that. There's no upside there, I don't think. Maybe you think, oh, Tua's going to be... Maybe you don't think, in general, Tua's as good as Herbert and is going to last as long. Tua's been, at least as of last year, and Herbert's situation doesn't look like it's getting any better. Tua was great. Tua was a great fantasy quarterback. Why would I give up a pick to go sideways to Herbert or down?
See, you're saying it's not possible
if I could do 2 in a first, right? I don't see why I wouldn't do that. But
I threw it out there in our group chat last year. I was like, I would personally trade Justin Herbert, and I think that was the time too. This year, I see his value kind of decreasing. We'll see how efficient he can play with this offense, and hopefully that happens. But I see his value going down a little bit. But you kind of have to hold on to him as your only quarterback.
Correct. And the only way I move off of Justin Herbert, I don't think is a split. I think the only way that I move off Justin Herbert is I take one of these 26 firsts and I get a more elite quarterback. That probably what I do. Yeah.
What is Herbert's contract right now?
That's a good question. I don't see him going anywhere. I'll be honest with you. I really don't.
What if, though, this is an offense where Harbaugh's I don't really need a prolific all-star quarterback. I just need a game manager, someone more like Geno or someone that. And they move on from Herbert. And then what if they drafted Arch Manning in 2026?
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine? Justin Herbert goes, Arch Manning goes to the Chargers. Austin would be in heaven.
Would he be in heaven or would he be in shambles?
No, he'd be great because he likes Herbert, but if he moves to a good spot, great for Dynasty. 2, his baby boy Arch Manning somehow is actually good enough to make it to the NFL and then goes to the Chargers. Come on. That would be sick for him.
That would be fun. We went over some of our untouchable players. Who are some players off the top of your head that would be movable right now?
I'm going to be honest. He's got a lot of movable pieces, in air quotes. I more so mean that, even droppable. I think he's got a couple tight ends where
let's go over droppable players first.
I think a couple of these guys aren't as taxi, so I won't touch those guys. Darius Davis, I know is on his taxi, but the rugby player that signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'd say he's probably droppable because that's a guy that's on Austin's team. 2 of his tight ends probably. He has, I would say probably Jonnu and Noah Fant, or Jonnu and Dawson Knox. Because I like Juwan Johnson, and I think Noah Fant has maybe a good outlook this year. But I think Juwan Johnson is his best by far.
Droppable. I don't.
There
are some tight end needy teams. I would trade maybe Fant or Juwan for a third. You don't need any of these.
Yeah.
Bottom tier tight ends, that many on your team. I would be shipping them for a third overall pick. Because if you drop them, they're definitely going to get picked up. I see Fant being a viable piece in that Seahawks offense still. He just got a pretty fat or a long contract,
a reasonable contract, yeah.
And then Knox, I think they want to use him in Buffalo because they don't have the wide receivers to run 3 wide receivers out there. I think they're still going to be running that 2 tight end personnel, and Knox is going to be out there. Juwan is the one question you said you kind of liked him, but he just had another injury with his foot, I believe, and he's going to have a hobbled year this year. I think he is possibly droppable. He is that most dynamic athlete, and on Miami where it's whoa, what if something crazy kind of happens there?
Yeah. Either way, the way I look at it is you could pick whichever tight ends you want. I could honestly give two shits which one he wants to drop, which one he wants to trade. Just pick some of them, get him off your team. There's got to be some people out there on the waiver wire, like Rasheen Ali, the running back for Baltimore Ravens, guys like that who are there right now, who you can pick up and stash. And those are guys who maybe, yeah, they're not going to be like stud players, but they're going to be guys who if someone gets injured, they come in, they get a couple snaps, they have a great game, get a third for them, move on. That's just value that you get. These tight ends probably are not going to give you. I know you said trade these guys for a third. I don't think you can trade any of these tight ends for a third.
Yeah. And this team is really tough because he does have so many picks where it's like...
He has so many picks in 2026. He has nothing in 2025. He is like...
True. Yeah,
he's 25 first and then 25 third because we don't do fourths.
He needs some picks this year because what I was going to say is like it's almost like hard if you're just stockpiling on picks and then you have so many picks that you just have a bunch of just shit rookies where
I'd rather have shit rookies than Juwan Johnson, or I'd rather have a third round pick that I can trade for someone for some random guy that I can get a start out of next year or something like that. Like it just doesn't feel like necessary to have these tight ends. It's just wasting space.
No, what I was going to get at is like if you have so many picks but only so many droppable spots, it's like where's the balance in that? Where you know where I'm getting?
Yeah, it's like a horse apiece almost, like you think. But I think having at least doing this, getting Rasheen Ali or whatever, and if you do end up getting to trade him for a pick, then you can be flexible. At least you don't have to make the pick. You can do something else with it.
Or
that
keep
would be on Austin. That would or he just becomes a stud and it's great. He just has a higher upside both in value and in possible like actual playing time for your team.
Yeah. So drop some tight ends for some more valuable pieces.
One other guy,
positional pieces.
I think should not be on Austin's roster is Zamir White. I think this guy he should trade probably pretty quickly. This is someone that is going to play football this year, and we don't know how well or how poorly yet. So this is a guy I think he can get from someone who needs a running back probably close to a second from. And I think that's
Zamir White is someone who should be on a win now team where they want to take a shot at someone. Someone should be willing to pay for him like almost me. I want Zamir White.
Yes, this is a perfect running back for your team.
Yeah. And then, so I agree with that. You kind of touched on it really earlier about Drake London. I would trade him away. I think just going off value and having no.
Well, let's see.
I was just gonna say yes. This team he has to keep Drake London because he's one of his best players. But like if it was on anyone else's team, I would be trading away Drake London because his value is peaked right now, and I don't think he's gonna hit that value in this league and kind of show that he's worth it. So.
I just think, like you said, I agree. Most other teams, I probably would want to split Drake London into two playable guys or just tier up if I could. You know, that type of thing.
Are these options for Drake London?
This is for Drake London, yeah. For Austin's team, Drake London's like his third best player probably. And he doesn't have a lot going on. He needs to keep studs at this point. Any stud or possible stud that he has, I think he needs to keep. That's like relatively young, if that makes sense. He needs to keep him because I think next year he could use some of the picks that he has and push towards being a real team. So I think keep London and Herbert and your two running backs and Marvin Harrison Jr. And then I think everything else is like fire sale almost.
I would almost consider trading away Rachaad White too, even though he just got him.
I would too. I agree. I think I would. I think both those running backs you could trade away, but I don't think he will. That's especially Rachaad White since you just got him. Here would be my plan of attack basically. Right now, this year. I have my own first round pick. I'm not going to win. I don't want to do that. I have 5 studs. We can keep it that way. The rest of my team, if I can get a second for like reasonable people like Zamir White, Romeo Doubs, Romeo Doubs I think is actually a reasonable keep, honestly.
I think he is too. Because
I think he's a big keep.
Coming around a contract year, or like this is his 4th year in the league, I believe. So he's going to be up for getting an extension, and in my eyes, I think the Packers would sign him over Christian Watson, like someone that is reliable,
sure,
a really good locker room guy too, where he's just puts his head down and works. Like he is a prototypical Packer, where I see him sticking around, and I don't necessarily see the Packers room is really deep right now, but I could see it thinning out later on, and Dobbs being kind of like that piece that just is always there and revolves around.
No, I think Romeo Doubs is actually a pretty good keep. I think if you get something good for him, like he's not untradeable, but I think you're not like actively shopping him.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's just tough because like he is pretty young, so you don't want to really trade him for like a vet that's has a higher upside, and then you also don't really want to trade him for someone really young and just be in this rebuilding process again.
Yeah, just never move forward. That's why I think, and I think what should happen now is I'm gonna give my just like this is what I would do right now if I'm him. and I think I want to see if you have a different take. Basically, I kind of touched on it again, but I think this year, obviously, like just look at his team. A lot of it you're not getting anything for. That's just the facts.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anything for it. There's no point in trying to trade those guys, really. Like, maybe try and get thirds or something, but you're not going to get them. So don't worry about all those people that are just filler. I think you just have to have them on your team and deal with it. You need to look at the guys like Zamir White, like Tyler Algier, like Elijah Mitchell, guys who have like some semblance of value left, and you have to try and get 25 picks, because this team is not doing anything this year, but I think this team can do something next year. And if he has those second round picks, he can start with these 26 that he's built up, with these 25s that he's built up. This next offseason, or whatever, he can start tossing those at people, and they're going to mean something. Like 26s will start meaning something to people now, and that's when he can start getting real players and use his core that he has built up to catapult him into like a real starting roster. I don't think he makes a lot of these picks. I don't think he should make a lot of these picks. I think he'll end up trading a lot of them and becoming a real team that can play.
No, I fully agree with that. And what you said earlier about like Elijah Mitchell and Tyler Algier, trade Tyler to the Bijan manager.
Yep.
Trade Elijah Mitchell to the CMC manager.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also, for our drafts, we do like most points for, or what is it?
Yes, it's
like,
most possible points. So like if you bench guys that scored more, that's going to count into your weekly score, so that people can't like what's that word? Tank without like by just not setting their lineup. So you want guys like that off your team. I
guess honestly, well, no, maybe I would just hold on to them until maybe an injury happens to one of those running backs, and then you trade them, because they're not going to be really putting up points unless there's an injury, and then you can get massive value for them. So I would hold on to them until there's an injury, trade them away as soon as that happens, and then kind of your tight ends are like the poison to your roster, where they're going to be scoring some points occasionally and be raising like those most points. So just dropping them
and grabbing
seeing if
random.
You can get something, but just take a shot on something random where you might hit some gold.
Basically,
versus,
because it's basically like it's like a very, very, very discount version of Tyler Algier and Elijah Mitchell. You just grab guys like that who the only time they're going to see the field and get points is if someone gets injured, and if that time comes, you can probably sell those people for picks, and then you're not having random points from Juwan Johnson or Jonnu Smith or all these guys on your bench when you don't want them, because you want to have the lowest amount of points so that you can pick 101.
Yeah. So I guess from the moral of that, just increase your upside and diminish those players that are just going to be average and really not playable or do anything for you. Do we want to think of some possible trades at all? Like for Zamir White, if you click on him?
Yeah, Zamir White would be the one guy, because like I said, it's tough for some of these players. You're not going to really get anything for him, but that's a real trade. What?
Give me Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, what is happening? These look fantastic. I have to have someone else in here, right? Nope, it's just Zamir White. All right, Austin, take a look at some of these and start sending them out, because these I'm down for.
And we understand that keep trade cut is not everything. If it says it's valuable, it does not mean it's going to get done by any means, but at least like a little idea of what you could get. Like personally, I probably really wouldn't shift to one of the running backs up there, maybe Zach Charbonnet.
That seems like kind of too sideways. Like the one I would do would be maybe I actually don't know if I would, unless you think you can get more for them after.
Ricky Pearsall, if you could get a quarterback.
Josh Downs at the bottom here, by the way.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That might be my.
I would even straight up, I might go Marshawn Lloyd here too. Like I know you wouldn't, do you have Marshawn Lloyd?
Yeah, I have Lloyd.
I know you wouldn't give up Marshawn Lloyd probably for Zamir White.
He traded Marshawn Lloyd to me also. So
is that real? Oh, like just in draft, like
he took him at a 302, and then I traded for.
Oh, Lloyd. That's right. What did you give him? I forget.
I gave him my 2026 first, and then he gave me his 2025 second, which hopefully is the 201 or 202 or something.
Yeah. So okay. So he probably wouldn't go for Marshawn Lloyd then.
Too.
But I would have taken that. That would have been pretty nice. Yeah. Any of these like receivers, like I don't even hate. You already have Dobbs, but like even Wicks plus a pick or something, I would have done. Downs is great. Jalen Polk, I'm fully willing to take a chance on there. If you can get Polk in a third or something like that, sign me up.
Yeah, wide receivers are kind of the way to go. Like I think
right here,
Ricky Pearsall's perfect one for his team, because I think, who has him? Luke. He's kind of also in a rebuild.
Peter does. I think.
If Peter has him, then that's perfect, because Peter's in win now mode. Trade Zamir to him.
Let me look.
And then you get this wide receiver that's going to kind of turn on in a year or two.
Yeah, it is Peter.
So.
Yeah, I mean, any trade like this for Zamir White, if you can't get, like, I'd take a straight up second, honestly. But, like, if you can't get that, if you can get a receiver of this caliber, Jalen Polk, Ricky Pearsall, those type of guys, I think that's a good move. Yeah, Josh Downs, I think, is phenomenal here, too.
It's kind of like understanding value, too, because, like, Polk and Pearsall were in the second. So if you could get a second for him, bang.
Do it.
It's the same thing, kind of. Another one that we said to
Tyler
trade away.
Algier, I think, is a reasonable one to look
Yeah.
at. These are a little bit less. I don't like these as much. Malik Washington, I don't know about any of these really.
That's why I kind of stand by what we said earlier of waiting for those handcuff running backs for them to get hurt. And then if that doesn't happen at the end of the season, trade them away for whatever you can to get that owner and hope that they pay that. Sky Moore, were you about to click on him? I don't think you can get
I'm just gonna look because I think it could be funny. I don't know what you can get for him, but yeah, nothing.
You can get Chris Brooks from Sam.
Who the heck is Chris Brooks? Is it a rookie? Is it a rookie running back?
He's like 7% rostered. No, he's been in the league. I think this is like his third year. But
what is he doing on his team?
No idea.
The main things that we would recommend would be, I think, keep your studs. That you have right now, keep them. Unless you get like a really nice deal. That's like Marvin Harrison Jr., Justin Herbert, Drake London. Those are the guys I'd really say are your studs. I'd say keep those guys unless you get some heat. I think you'll probably end up keeping Rachaad White and Josh Jacobs. I'd be open to doing something with those guys. But I think you need all the players you can get.
I think it is a smart idea to trade them too, because realistically, you're going to be good, hypothetically, maybe in 2027, 2028, where Josh Jacobs and Rachaad White are not going to be doing anything for you then. Yeah. They're going to be out of the league. So why are they on your team?
True. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And then your handcuffs that you have, the Tyler Algiers, the Elijah Mitchells, if they get the chance, send them, as soon as they hit their value, try and send them away. And then just cut the fat on your roster. Like, the tight ends that are going to score points that you don't want to have, cut those guys for like discount handcuffs and stuff like that. And
curious, what if he packaged Jacobs and Rachaad White? What could he hypothetically get for that?
I get it, but like, doesn't he need players?
Yeah, I'm saying like a young wide receiver, like T. Higgins.
Yeah, but then what's his running back room, man?
What I said earlier, though, like these running backs aren't going to be doing anything for his team. So why are they on his team?
Yeah,
at that point.
I think I'd have to go a little bit higher than T. Higgins, but I see what you're going for.
Yeah,
it would have to be a little bit higher.
Buy low on Jordan Addison too, or something like that. Someone who's like having some difficulties right now, but has some promise.
Yeah, just shove those two together. I think you could get a pick back. If you go T. Higgins, I think you can get like a reasonable pick back, like a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. But like, if I could do like Rachaad White, Josh Jacobs, and my 25 third, and I can get like T. Higgins in a second, sign me up.
If I could get Garrett Wilson for that.
Yeah, this is never going to happen, but like, you get the gist of what we're saying, I think. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Dan, you have anything else you want to add?
No, yeah. This was our first critique corner episode. This one was pretty difficult since we're kind of just pigeonholed, and there's really not a lot of moves we can make since this is such a heavy rebuild team. But best of luck to you, Austin. Hopefully, I'd love to see your advice. Yeah, going to work, and we'll be back with our next team next week.
That is our first corner finished. We appreciate you all watching. If you haven't, click that sub button. Have a good one. We'll see you next time. Peace out.